right. As the wind. As a Latina student, I have been fortunate enough to experience injustice at my school and every other place I step foot on. It sounds confusing, right? But I say fortunate because having to work twice as hard in order to prove my intelligence and myself as a whole has allowed me to view circumstances through an extremely clear lens. I get to see reality. And this is true for every minority student. We are fortunate not because of the situation, of course, but because from what we obtain from it. Wisdom and a sense of responsibility to make change. Therefore, we run after every single opportunity that we get to speak up. School is a big place. It might not seem like it, but when you find yourself in a classroom where you don't understand what the teacher is saying, and on top of that, there's frustration radiating from the teachers and the students, big becomes enormous. This is the life of an ESOL student who is too afraid to ask the teacher for more help, for more resources. This is just one situation. Can you imagine the rest? The truth is that if only we had the resources that we need and we had access to those resources, our efforts would be considered, our identities would be recognized, and most importantly, our fights would be rewarded. There is no such thing as enough help. There is no such thing as enough help, am I right? If only we took a minute to think about the different stories that students have, all the sacrifices that many of these students have gone through just to have an education, then we would be one step closer into realizing that having one more resource makes a difference in the classroom. Education should be a generalization. It should be about knowing that every single student wants a hand and needs a hand. And we are constantly asking for it. We are. Minorities are already fighting against the achievement gap. So fighting against the funding gap has only made us stronger, and we will continue to fight against it. And all we ask is that we grow together, that we all understand the significance of constant funding and the immense difference that it can have in our schools and in our personal lives. That is why students are joining educators and asking our elected officials to provide this funding and equitable funding to our schools. Some of us have our futures planned out, and some of us don't. But we all know that we want to set an example, and we can only do so if we have one to look up to. Every student is expected to be successful, but we have to keep in mind that success roots from making the right decision in the first place. All we want is a foundation that will maintain our motivation and that will assure us that there is someone looking after our future. After that, we can take it from there. We will remind ourselves that all of this had a purpose. That is our job. That is our promise. So now, can you keep your promise? Fix the fun! Fix the fun! Fix the fun!